Assalamualaikum and salam sejahtera. Good morning, everyone. I am Aiza, president of WENA, and professionally, I am the managing director of MadCat World, a company that creates mobile apps. When I received the topic of this webinar, I googled cyber ethics, which simply put is the code of responsible behaviors on the internet. Major issues that we see nowadays include privacy issues and identity theft due to public records that are available online, contributing to the rise of cybercrimes. Another issue is the concept of intellectual property. Can we share music, movies, content found online? How about the freedom of information? Should the internet be completely accessible without censorship and filtering? This then brings about the proliferation of sexual, pornographic, and gambling content. How do we manage this? What happens when these content involve children? How do we ensure cyber safety and the protection of the rights of children? So we must also consider the digital divide, which is a social economic divide between those who have access and those who have limited or no access at all. Last but not least, we need to also look at the ethical behavior of people online. Hiding behind the keyboard has given birth to a whole generation of keyboard warriors, people who make abusive and aggressive posts on the internet, typically one who conceals their true identity, which then leads them to cyberbullying, depression, and even suicide. Right? So our young have grown up in this world of instant gratification. My son at 6 years old was playing his mobile phone and he took a photo of his avatar and posted it. Then he asked me, why is no one liking my photo in this game? So against my better judgment, I told him that he needed to add friends and like other people's photos. So he was so excited when he got his first like. So I am thinking, is it safe? Are there predators inside this game? How do I teach him to be safe online? So he is now 7 and he tells me not to worry. He is now a pro and no longer a noob. Okay, so then in this world we live in, everything is online. The young have grown up with all their life brought to them via the internet. According to MCMC, we have 45.7 women who are online, and an alarming 95% of the Malaysian girls have suffered from sexual exploitation. So Cybersecurity Malaysia, as part of the International Safer Internet Day Committee, has initiated Malaysia's chapter with the theme Etika. The goal of Etika is to build positive online attributes of self and space with cyber ethics, thus creating responsible cyber citizens. So Cybersecurity Malaysia has also an initiative called Cybersecurity Awareness for Everyone, in short CyberSafe, where the Outreach Department is tasked with enhancing public awareness on technological and social issues facing internet users by providing best practices for the use of ICT and the internet safely and ethically. So today, as we celebrate Girls in ICT Day, we bring you this webinar which aims to provide emphasis on cyber ethics culture while adhering to the fifth Rukun Negara, courtesy and respect, by establishing a national philosophy and empowering girls and women in cyber world. So the first session will address how to help our young be digitally resilient in facing any given threats and risks while incorporating values of good etiquette online, digital empathy, and cyber savviness. The second session will look into the rise of young girls and women in ICT. As a business owner of a technology company, I have found that the online world does not look at gender, race, or nationality. We are judged by the quality of our work, and the world has become borderless thanks to the internet. With this, I congratulate Cybersecurity Malaysia for their commitment in providing a broad range of cybersecurity innovation-led services, programs, and initiatives to reduce vulnerability of digital systems and at the same time strengthen Malaysia's self-reliance in cyberspace. Thank you for listening, and it is now my privilege to introduce the moderator for the first session today. Please welcome Cik Puan Sarimat Ibrahim, TV host, MC, mental health advocate, and patron of Mental Illness Awareness and Support Association, Miasa. Over to you, Sarima.
Wow, thank you very much, Raisa Shamsul. Oh my goodness, thank you so much. I've actually learned so much just from listening to you. So I think I'm just going to leave now because you just given it in a nutshell. But once again, Assalamualaikum and good morning to everyone. Thank you for having me as a moderator. I've been looking forward to working with Cybersecurity Malaysia, and today the day has come. So what are we doing today for everyone who's watching? This is called, now don't mind me if my eyes move and divert. It's just because I'm looking at some things that I want to make sure I'm getting the points right, because there's a lot to get right here today. We're talking about empowering your mindset with Cyber Ethics. This is our webinar, and this is in conjunction with the International Girls in ICT Day. And our topic for today is building resiliency in you. And when we say in you, we're talking specifically to the ladies and the girls, but of course, actually to everyone. So guys and boys, we really need your help to keep the place safe for us. When I talk about the place, I'm talking about the places online, because that's where our biggest threats are. So we're going to be addressing those, the importance of digital resiliency in the cyber world. We're going to be talking about online positive behavior traits and the risks that specifically affect women and young girls. And for every guy out there, you know, you've got a girlfriend, a wife, a mother or a sister or a cousin who's a girl, who's a woman, and this is very relevant to you. Now, I have a younger baby girl. I mean, she's a toddler now. She's 21 months old, Sophia. And I'm really concerned when I read up a little bit more on cybersecurity about the threats that she faces, specifically what was mentioned just now by Puan Raiza when she talked about 45% of women are online and 95% have experienced some form of exploitation, and it leans towards sexual exploitation online. And that's a very scary number for me. And I would like to learn in this specific discussion today, even though I'm the moderator, how I can help to protect my daughter online, because technology is going faster than we can even catch up with. The threats are becoming smarter. We've got sexual predators, we've got con artists online, we've got an awful lot of bullies online. And that's just the way we live today. So today we're going to be discussing this, and I've got some fantastic panelists here today. Let me introduce them to you, because they're going to be the pros discussing and informing us. Firstly, I'd like to say hi to Elina Mubin. She is the Executive Outreach and Corporate Communications Department of Cybersecurity Malaysia. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Assalamualaikum.
Salam. So Elina, we're going to be talking to you an awful lot about etika, as in, you know, cyber etiquettes, and, you know, how we can be more polite online and how we can take care of everyone and make sure it's a safer space. Next, we have Farzana Rizwan, who's the president of Monsters Among Us. Now, a lot of people don't know what Monsters Among Us is. It's not that TV show you've seen online where they've got monsters inside them and it's a science show. This is completely different, but in some way it is kind of similar, isn't it, Farzana, in terms of having monsters in you and you don't know who's around, right?
Exactly, and that's the main reason why we named ourselves that way. Thanks for having me.
Right, thanks. And then last but not least, we've got Catherine Anila, who's a child advocate, president of Vanguards for Change. Hello, Catherine.
Hi everyone.
So you're not a child advocate yourself, right? If you don't mind me asking, how old are you? Just so you know.
I'll be turning 21 this year.
Right, okay. So
Yeah.
You are a child advocate. So we'll be talking to you about like young people basically and what their rights are online, and you know, does it matter what they say basically? So let's get straight in there. The first thing I'd like to talk about is cybersecurity. So I'll be talking to Elina first. Elina, would you mind explaining to us what exactly is digital resiliency? It sounds pretty serious, but what does it mean?
Well, basically, being digital resilient, you're able to go online, right? And still be cyber savvy, you know what to do and how to mitigate yourself on the cyber world. But you have to know how to be the digital quotient aspect of it all. In terms of when you navigate online, you have to have that balance of emotional intelligence and that cyber savviness. So with that combined, you're able to just counter any threats that come by, whether it's from cyberbullying, child sexual grooming, anything that comes to you, any threat, dengan emotional intelligence tu kita boleh tepiskan. So
right.
that's yeah.
So like you're saying like emotional intelligence, meaning like to your instinct, is it? Like desire this girl online seems a bit.
Yeah, digital quotient basically. So that goes with the combination of your emotional intelligence and your cyber savviness. So if you have that balance, right? Any ancaman yang datang on your way, you can just fend it off or tepiskan. You know how to tackle the situation. Yeah.
what kind of threats are mostly for girls online? What kind of threats are we talking about here? Because threats sound like, whoa, like
Yeah.
am I in a game and people are shooting at me? But I mean, like, what are the threats that we're talking about here that are a problem?
All right, from child sexual exploitation, and then also cyberbullying, internet addiction. There's a lot of things that girls and young women are exposed to. Not only that, from identity theft, a series of threats, other threats involved as well. It's just that it's sad to say that people, especially netizens at this stage, kalau tanpa sikap baku or the good ethics that they
Yeah.
do, while they're online, we have to instill those habits. Okay, so that's one thing that like we would like to resound in this webinar. Yes.
Our show today. Okay, yeah, because it's what you said is very important, because some people, they are macam in real life baik je, like nice, polite people, following a rukun negara down to a T, you could say, or it appears to be. But then bila online je macam ubah identity. Suddenly they become like different people, and it's quite scary. And I mean, I think it relates to mental health in some way, because sometimes people are suffering from mental health issues or conditions, and then tempat online lah tempat that they release everything, unfortunately, and take on other identities. It's like a form of escapism. Okay, Elena, thanks for just introducing a little bit to us what the threats are and what cybersecurity is and trying to do. So Firzana, I'd like to ask you, Monster Among Us, why was it formed, and when was it formed exactly?
So Monsters Among Us was formed and founded in 2017, and it was a youth-led initiative. We decided to organize a national scale symposium to address child sexual abuse at that point of time. So we were all like uni students wanting to make a change. So we decided to, organize events and campaigns to address child sexual abuse at that point of time. But right now we have been registered under the Registry of Societies, and it's been 4 years since we first started.
Congrats.
And so yeah, we are a mix of uni students and also young working professionals, and we come from diverse backgrounds because we realize, to tackle child sexual abuse and child protection in general, you need all of the expertise that exists, in the system. You cannot be working in isolation. So the things that we focus on are awareness initiatives and campaigns, and only recently we started providing intervention services. So yeah, kiranya we handle cases that come in. We provide legal advice or any advice that families or survivors would require in order for them to take their case to the next level. Because
so you're not just talking about online, then you're obviously like in the physical domain.
Yes. We tackle both physical and online sexual crimes involving children. So our main focus memang for children protection lah.
Wow. So and is there a contact that people can get hold of Monster Among Us? Are you a website, or where can people get hold of you if they're experiencing it right now?
Well, obviously, since everyone is on social media, we can be easily contacted via Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. But we also have our website, lapupredator.org, and that's where you can make reports on online sexual crimes.
That I'm gonna be talking about that later. It's very interesting. But before I move on to Catherine, I just want to know, what's your objectives? What are you trying to do for the girls and young women of Malaysia? Because that's where we're coming from today. We want to see how to protect our girls, our buddies.
Betul. We also acknowledge the fact that many of child rights issues, or basically issues pertaining to girls and young women in Malaysia, are often shadowed by bigger issues, right? So if we put, child rights and also economical concerns, obviously people want to talk about the economics. People want to talk about things that are bigger and So Monsters Among Us wants to create a platform where children, young people can gather and be champions of their own issues. Because when it comes to child sexual abuse, like 1 in 10 Malaysians have been sexually abused, and 95% of those survivors know who their predators are. So these people are not, people far away. They are the monsters among us.
Among
So
us.
that's all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hence the name. If you don't mind me asking, like the people who work with Monster Among Us, are some of them survivors themselves? I mean, you would need to have some sort of insight into it, wouldn't you?
Yes, I love that you pointed that out. Yes, definitely amongst us, we do have people with lived experience,
Yeah.
and it's always important to see things from their lens, from their optics,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you, Frizana. Catherine, good morning.
Morning, everyone.
Hi there, Catherine.
Hi.
You were a child advocate. Now you're a grown, young, beautiful woman advocate.
Now I'm an advocate for children.
Yes, that's right. President of
Yes.
Vanguards for Change. So tell us a bit about Vanguards for Change. It sounds so like pro, positive. Get going.
You think it's pro? Do you want to know how we got the name?
Oh God.
Through
Okay.
a WhatsApp discussion.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so unlike Monsters Among Us, we were also a bunch of children, young people, youths. So what happened is right after I finished my SPM, because I have been involved in child rights advocacy as an individual alongside organizations like Childline Foundation and UNICEF Malaysia. So my friends, they have watched me grow. And so many of my friends were also interested to, make change like how I am trying to. So right after I finished SPM, I actually just posted an Insta story saying, "Hey, you guys, if you're interested in child rights advocacy, hit me up. Let's see what we can do together." So
Right.
just like what Frizana mentioned about Monsters Among Us, we are also just young people, children age ranging from 10 to up to 25, I guess, around this age group. So we just came together, and so it started off as a WhatsApp group actually, and we thought, okay, maybe we should name ourselves, and that's how Vanguards, the ones in the forefront for change. That's
Yes.
how we came up with that name,
Wow.
and yeah. So right now, what we have is we have senior child advocates, like those who grew with me, are with me, and we also have the child advocates. And we go by the motto of accompany to empower. So that is basically what we do. We accompany children and empower them to be child advocates themselves. And
How do you do
so,
that? How does
um,
a child become a child advocate when you say you accompany them?
So it has to start with awareness and education first. So what we do is we try to reach out to children from diverse backgrounds. Say from diverse backgrounds. It can be through the PPR flats, or it can be through refugee centers,
Right.
or through schools. So what we do is we reach out to these spaces and we have outreach sessions
Okay.
with the children. So we have workshops, interactive workshops with them, and we talk to them about their rights, about the Convention of the Rights of the Child.
I
We
see.
talk to
Well,
them.
a lot of adults, like when I pointed to myself just because I'm like
Mhm.
so much older than you, we'd be like, what do children know about, their rights or the rights, and how can children make a
Exactly,
change?
they should know.
They should know, right? Because they will be us in the future. I'll get back to you, Catherine, because there's so much to talk about, but I just want to go back to Elena again and make sure that, we find out a little bit more about cyber etiquette. So Elena, what is the role that you guys are taking in trying to build digital resiliency for girls and young women in Malaysia? What exactly is cybersecurity doing about this?
Okay, first off, Cybersecurity Malaysia is the National Cybersecurity Specialist. Okay, it's a technical agency under the purview of Ministry of Communications and Multimedia Malaysia. So aside from that, Cybersecurity Malaysia's role is critical in playing, educating the public, in particular internet users, to be wary of various cyber threats online. And so under that, cyber safe programs has been created. So that means cybersecurity awareness for everyone. We have various programs ranging from the outreach side, and with that, we play that role in terms of awareness and education from the public sector to the private sector, from the school rendah, all the way up to the tertiary levels. So one of the things that we've initiated was the Cyber Safer Internet Day. So that was
Internet
celebrated.
Day.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
celebrated in February.
Mhm.
So it's every second of the month. So we play the role champion that. Oh, sorry, pioneered the Malaysian chapter. Then we
Okay.
created this campaign called
Safer
Etika.
Internet Day. Okay. So is it like a 1 day a week or a 1 day a month or?
Yeah, it's celebrated on the 2nd of February, usually second
Right.
week, every second month.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. So tell me, like, when you say that you're doing all the outreach programs and there's different things that you do in skolas and stuff. So what do you do in the skolas? I mean, how do you make sure that the girls know what's going on online, and your average, like Malaysian child, how does she recognize, like, someone online who's catfishing? How would she know that her buddy, the girl that's pretending online is not actually a girl, it's actually a guy who wants her to send her photos, and then wants to use the photo to threaten her and meet her up with her somewhere? Because we hear of cases like this all the time. So, how can we help our girls be more savvy and like recognize, because you can't exactly, suddenly like be suspicious of everyone online. So how do you differentiate?
Okay. Through our cyber talks, we talk about various topics ranging from cyber stalking, cyberbullying, child sexual grooming, and also on the part of awareness for parents to be mindful is talks such as cyber parenting. So with that, we educate them in terms of not just understanding the threat, but also how to best practices online.
Yeah.
So with that, like when one of the things that we can notice that once the threat that comes by, but the netizens tahulah dengan sikap-sikap positive attitudes, positive attributes online, to not just dalam segi outside the context of luar, the physical self, but transcending all those moral values onto the digital platform as well. So just like with the Rukun Negara, the fifth element, which is courtesy and morality,
Yes.
we want to understand that when we take that pledge every morning in schools, kan,
Yes.
kita nak menjiwai, take that in
Yes. Ourselves
and transcend it onto the online platform using
yes,
those same values.
do that. I mean, we can try to do that. We can follow our Rukun Negara, our fifth philosophy, but how do we, face others who don't? That's what we're talking about today. And how can we, we can do the best we can, and be polite and have that etiquette online and be respectful of others and know that, everybody has the right to be respected online, right? And that's why you have Etika. Tell us a little bit about Etika. What does this stand for in terms of cybersecurity, besides just related to our Rukun Negara?
Okay, so Etika stands for being wary of yourself in space. So with that, the morals that we've been taught, like dengan apa-apa yang mak bapak kita ajari kita and stuff, So with those moral values, we want to use the same things, and that's our digital identity as well. So what we do online, what we practice, say, and how to fend off these threats. Menggunakan the common sense, that bijaksana kan, in terms of trying to fend off a bully, or when a cyber stalker comes to you, and you're able to fend it off by guna that emotional intelligence, which is your digital quotient.
Yes.
And with the best practices, we hope that the netizens of today, not yang that go online, yang membawa ke,
and just say whatever they want to say. The worst thing is fake accounts and stuff like that. So we're hoping for etiquette online, obviously, as part of our national identity, offline and online, is what you're saying. So for cybersecurity, can I contact cybersecurity, or do I need to contact Monster Among Us? Or who do I contact if there's something that comes online, like a threat, like I get some strange person threatening me online or bullying me? Who do I contact?
Well, you could contact www.cybersecurity.my. We have this MyCert department which handles all the online threats from of intrusions to all, various identity thefts
Right.
and online threats. So with
Okay.
that, you can report to that as well. But
Hmm.
other partners involved, they're more specified. Like, so, let's say Vanguards, they have this the advocacy for
Yeah.
children, and Monster Among Us, they play that in terms of
Sexual
online
predators.
sexual, yes, abuse
Right.
and whatnot.
Okay.
We have
Okay.
that plan, and yeah.
Okay, cool. So they can contact anyone watching this has 3 different places to contact right now. So, of course, we can share a bit more information on that later, perhaps after the show, Okay, Farzana, President Monster Among Us. So tell us a bit about, you just launched Malaysia's first automated chatbot against online child sexual exploitation and abuse. Oxy is done with, right? And that was held 10th of April. Can you tell us about this? What is Lapu Predator? Lapu Predator, there's a number people can call.
Okay, so Lapu Predator is a chatbot that exists on our website, lapupredator.org. And by the name of it, again, self-explanatory, we want people to lapo
Yeah.
predators. So the subject matters that we take in are online sexual crimes involving children. So because especially during COVID, right, many of our kids are sort of stuck behind screens due to having classes online, and that's the only way they can engage into the world. And so with the heightened use of internet, they're also very much exposed to online dangers. And most of the times, many Malaysians, especially children, they may not know the ways or the procedures on how to make a report to the authorities, because
Yeah,
obviously
even
there
I
is.
don't know.
Exactly, and it's inevitable. As much as these authorities want to make themselves accessible,
Hmm.
but there are always barriers, and that's where Lapu Perita comes in as a middle person to basically attend to cases and give them appropriate advice accordingly. So if a child does not know who to go to, we can basically say we can actually make the report for you, or we can accompany you to make the reports to the authorities. So when it's online sexual crimes, it involves 2 main authorities, which are our police body, which is PDRM, and obviously MCMC. So they are the ones who regulate online content.
Right.
And these things are not made known to the
No,
public as much
and I
as,
don't know this.
exactly. Normally kalau kita talk about like reports, so kita terus fikir polis. But when it comes to online content, you need to go to MCMC juga.
Ah.
So that's the main reason why Lapu Perita wants to exist, so that we can be the, assisting partner for kids.
So if something comes on, like, let's say I have a daughter, like she's not online yet, she's just playing with games and she's not connected to the internet. But obviously with, like you mentioned, sekarang ni everything's online, digital, sekolah pun like implementing like online, which scares me because number one, the screen time memang dah terlebih. So they're like, they're just exposed so much. It's just unfortunate, but that's the way it is. And secondly, like you mentioned, the threats are coming in. So if I have a little girl and or a teenage girl, what should she do if she sees? Should she screenshot it and then call Cyber 999, or what does she do? Does she need to keep the evidence, or can you guys like gather the evidence for her? How does it work?
Okay, thank you for asking that, because that's actually very important. Obviously, we have many services out there that are similar to what Lapu Perita can provide. We have Cyber 999. We also have like Talian Kasih to make phone calls. But essentially, if someone does want to use Lapu Perita, right? So because we do have our pool of audiences, so our targets are these people. So if you do encounter, any suspicious activity online which involves sexual elements and also involving a child as the victim, you make the report to the chatbot, and that's where we will basically ask you, okay, do you have a screenshot? Do you have links that we can basically gather? Do you know the username? Sometimes people see something bad, but they don't know what to collate. They don't know what to bring to the authorities. So that's how we can assist Malaysians. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks, Farzana. Now we just move on to Catherine Anila, because we're talking about the rights of children here, and specifically the rights online. That's what we're talking about today. We're talking about etiquettes, obviously, with Elina, and following our Rukun Negara and having respect and having moral decency online. And that's something we hope for everyone to have, but unfortunately not everyone has. And I just want to bring up the subject of parents, because how do I say this without offending some parents out there? No one's perfect, right? Parent or not parent. But there are some parents who share their children's videos and photos online. And obviously it crossed my mind, like these kids don't really have a say in that, do they? I mean, what's your opinion, Vanguards for Change? What's the rule for that? Is there like a rule like for parents to monetize on their children, or is that considered exploitation? How does that work?
Well, if YouTube has specially come up with a policy that doesn't allow parents to do that, then it is kind of obvious that it can be used for exploratory ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, actually, speaking of child rights online, so today is the 24th of April, right? Last month, exactly on
Almost.
the 25th of March, exactly a month before, child rights were actually, it faced like a huge evolution, because the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, which is the framework for child rights all around the world, right? The UNCRC, they had adopted a General Comment 25, which means that children's rights can officially be applied to children's rights online as well. So right now, children have rights online.
Right. When you say
Yes.
children, are we talking like how old from?
Anyone below the age of 18. Children
So
are anyone below
my
the age
daughter
of 18.
Sophia has rights
Yes,
now.
yes, she has rights.
So I better
She
not
does.
post anything without.
Yeah, but no, you see, that's why accompanying and empowering the younger generation is so important, because we can't just, it's impossible to just change the way the world works in a day.
Yeah,
It's
of
hard.
course.
And that is
Yeah.
why when we have outreach sessions like this, when we talk to children about their rights, when we tell them, okay, the UNCRC exists, you have these amount of rights, and with these rights come responsibility. And that is why digital resilience is so important. Why we started off with online, we started off with child rights and digital resilience is because right now at this age, when I started, it was 2012, and that was when Instagram became a thing, Snapchat became a thing. That's when social media was the in thing. And right now we have children younger than me who earn so much through social media platforms.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So if we want to create a world where digital resilience is upheld by every social media user, a world that is safe for all children, including Sophia, right? We need to start with embedding this resilience in them, this moral responsibility in them, and for that we need to
Children are afraid though, Catherine. Children are afraid to speak up to adults, especially like, I mean, little girls, how are they going to say, Mommy?
Why do you think they're afraid?
Well, obviously there's a hierarchy of power, isn't there, for playing
Exactly.
in the family? Yes.
And there's this something that I've read before. It says that the strictest parents create the sneakiest children.
That's very true, because it's a rebelling. You have to have an outlet, don't you?
Exactly. So when we talk about online safety, right? A lot of parents, or a lot of people my age also, they think that if it's so unsafe and if it's so dangerous, then they shouldn't be on there at all.
Yeah,
I have a friend who, a parent actually, they allow their child to have Snapchat, but they can't have Instagram. And I don't understand. It doesn't make sense.
Right.
But that's the thing. It has to, when we talk about education, it's not just the children, but it's the parents that are supposed to educate and empower their children.
You've got a generation before that don't know, internet just kind of hit us. Like if you're talking about like parents of my age, right? It just hit us. Like we don't know ourselves. What are the etiquettes? We don't know what's right or wrong. We're not even sure what our own rights are as parents. let alone our children's rights, you know? So
Mhm.
I think there's a lot of parents, I got to be fair as well. You know, there's a lot of parents out there who, you know, they're trying to make a living,
Yes.
and online is the way to make it right now. And and they don't see it as harming the child. You know, using the child for endorsements and promotions. I mean, even I have had Sophia work with me for endorsements, but you know, I'm quite careful what jobs I accept. But I mean, the thing is, we were hit with this so fast. I mean, 2012, 2013, it was just bam, Snapchat. Now you got to do this, and we look to other countries, which may, you know, which I'm going to ask Elena, not have the same. How do I say? Obviously, not the same rukun negara, but they don't have the same moral,
Mhm.
you know, compass as us. So, you know, putting up a photo of yourself naked with oil, possibly as a mother, might be a way to generate income, and that's acceptable. Here, obviously not. So I think
Mhm.
that there's a generational gap there in terms of like, you know, you guys are doing a great job, you know, with the current generation to empower and help them understand they have a right. But actually, the parents need some help too.
Exactly. Because there is no one way to go about this. It
Mm,
has to be a collective effort. It has to be everyone. All of us are equal stakeholders in creating a safer internet. You know, whether
that's
we're
right.
children, whether we're parents, anyone, all of us play a part because all of us are digital citizens in that way, right?
Okay.
And speaking of digital citizens, I just like to share one data, right? As part of the Youth Advisory Council in Child Helpline International, I got this data and I was shocked, actually, very shocked. Just a survey among youths, you know, I think children and youths up till age 25,
Yeah.
right? Over the last 1 year, one in five have attempted or had thoughts to attempt suicide. And
Mm-hmm.
so much of this is caused by their online exposure, being too overwhelmed with media consumption, or just everything that happens online. Because this past 1 year has been so online focused. You know, we've shifted to online learning, online working. So when we talk about online safety, it's not just being safe online, but also being safe inside. You
Yourself.
need to, yeah, and that's where mental health comes in as well.
Of
I
course,
just like to share that. Yeah.
that is definitely something like in several of the talks, because I'm the patron of Miasa, and we regularly do chats and talks online about the risks that are faced due to the online threats. Which so that's why I'm gonna go back to Elena, Elena, because you know you're with Cybersecurity Malaysia, and today we're talking about how to keep our girls and women safe and how to build digital resiliency within them. And obviously, to have that resiliency, you know, we need to figure out ways to combat the threats. Talking about mental health a little bit, you know, like was mentioned by Catherine, everything's moved online. Even businesses for young girls, you know, has moved online. So there's a lot of girls that are setting up businesses and profiles of themselves, and they don't even know, you know, if they're doing something that might be inviting a threat to themselves. There's a lot of people out there with mental health issues that don't know where to direct those mental health issues. So they go online, Elena, and they you could say mumbawang, or you know, lash out and bully others because they're feeling that resentment themselves in their own real lives, especially now with no work, no money, feeling claustrophobic, anxiety is increased. And as Catherine mentioned, unfortunately, there is a rise in cases online with suicide with regards to that. That also is due to copycat. You know, there's also a lot of copycatting happening online. So what are we doing? What Cybersecurity Malaysia doing to keep our girls safe with regards to, you know, you're trying to implement more ethics? And is it doable, Elena? Can we do it? Because a lot of people are facing a lot of mental health conditions. How are you going to fight the surplus of problems out there, you know, for people to be able to have etiquette online? They have nowhere to release orang kata except for online.
Okay, so Cybersecurity Malaysia, we've devised a module called Mendidik Anak-anak Digital, or there's a book that's out right now, which can be purchased on www.cybersecurity.my. From that, there's also another a guideline, parenting guideline, with various topics ranging from mental health, internet addiction, how to manage your screen time, self-regulation tips on cyberbullying, all the way up to child sexual grooming. One of the things that parents have to be mindful of when when basically you are a digital parent or you are a web-wise parent, you to have these five main pillars that we've created this one campaign about 2 years ago called what was it called? Apa? Five parental pillars. So
Right.
it's one of the things that we have to do is one, be proactive, create a safe online environment for your children. So by just being simply like being open, being able to communicate with your child or your teenage daughter, and to be immersed with that, knowing what they do online. So we as parents must be proactive and must choose be in the right mindset to understand their digital habits as well. And at the same time, we as parents have to monitor our own digital habits, our behavior
Right.
online. The second thing is to educate, not just be cyber savvy, but also know your child's features on your device, what they do, and if what they like tu tak apa layan, tapi kita kena juga control the screen time, but
Tahu
regulate.
lah. Pantau a
Yeah.
bit more. Okay.
Betul, betul. Dan segitu, we also have to befriend, not just know what they do online, but allow them to have that freedom to if a cyberbullying incident happens to them, macam mana diorang nak report? Are they gonna be able to communicate with you? So if the parent is nak marah ke merontak ke, kalau dah tahu dia datang dengan macam problem, dia kena bully online, tapi
Yes.
parents tak ambil tindakan lah, macam tak
Yeah.
ambil berat sebab benda tu virtual
Yeah.
je kan.
Yeah.
Selagi
Yeah.
anak tak kena tarik rambut ke tu, dia tak nampak, tapi they have to be act lah, kena ambil benda tu serius. Sebab tu
Take
ada
action.
suicide, these are all those
But that is a challenge though, isn't it, Elena? I mean, trying to,
yes.
do we pantau as in supervise enough? And
Yes.
then, we don't want to be parents that are like, not supervising enough
Betul.
or over supervising, and then you're sheltering your
Yes.
child. And your child has no
Yes.
exposure, and then they don't know what's out there in the world, kan?
Betul.
So
with that,
that cybersecurity is emphasizing on etiquettes online and going into the
Yes.
schools and trying to help kids. What I'm more concerned about is the adults. I mean,
Yes.
because, the kids can have kids already have intuition. They understand, but it's what's happening out there. There's a question that just came in. Somebody asked for Monsters Among Us, who actually handles the cases from Lapu predator report. So if somebody sees something like sexual harassment online, and then they call, who actually handles it, and are they trained? That's the question. So Firzana, can you answer that question? It just popped in.
Okay, so the people handling the cases that come in through Lapu Predators chatbot is our child protection team. So we have 7 to 8 child protection officers who have been trained in case management, child protection policies, understanding sexual abuse crimes online, and these are the ones who will be sort of like becoming the persons who manage the cases. And in a way, we will also provide the pathways or the options that a reporter has. So you can either go to the police, or this is what you can do,
Okay.
like individually. So we do have a trained and specific team to handle these cases, and it is assured that if you make a report, your cases will not be spread out or disclosed to other people other than those who handle the reports.
Because that's definitely a concern, confidentiality. How does having a digital shield, and what is a digital shield that parents need to set up to protect our girls and our young women online? What exactly is a digital shield?
Before I go into that, because the past conversations that you've had with Katrine and also Adina, I mean, there are a lot of concerns on parents, right? And how parents have to know this, have to know that. But I just wanted to assure all parents, including yourself, Chipuan, that parents are also protected by the UNCRC, by the Convention of Child Rights. Parents also have the rights to have enough support and enough information in order for them to be effective and impactful parents.
Right.
So even though the rights are for children, but parents are also very, very much protected by the state, and the state is
Right.
obliged to protect and support parents in order for parents to protect their kids. So I
So
just wanted to put that.
how do we utilize that protection? What does that mean? What can we do with that protection?
No, when because Malaysia is a signatory to this convention, so meaning we uphold all of these rights that are basically universally accepted, right? So if Malaysia agrees that parents need the support to protect and to ensure that their children have conducive and safe childhoods, meaning parents pun patut diberi enough opportunities, enough access to information, enough
Yes.
support in terms of how to do this,
Courses,
how to do that.
hmm.
Yes. So
Yeah.
because when it's children, you cannot run away from discussing parents' roles as well, and that's why the state is obliged. Our country, Malaysia, is responsible to ensure both parties are given enough rights. Yeah.
I feel like we need to see some commercials online. I mean, not online, on TV as well as online and on the radio. A bit more like, I've been to other countries and I see commercials done where, there's like animated, so it's not so threatening, but they explain like what a sexual predator or a con artist is, not to send your money online. And I think that needs to be spread a little bit more. And maybe, as you mentioned, some more courses to help parents, macam belajar, like what can I buy? Is there like a program, or is there something like, we're talking about digital shields. I do want to know about that from you. What is a digital shield to protect our children online?
To me, essentially, digital shield it starts with equipping yourself with enough information and knowledge. So you
Yeah.
start with that. You gotta equip yourself. You need to know your tools. So both children and parents, you need to know what social media is. You need to know what Instagram is. There's no other way to it. To be a parent in today's era, you need to know your tools. And if you are slacking on that part, then your child will be learning it on themselves, by themselves. So
Right.
knowing the tools, and other than knowing the tools, you need to acknowledge that dangers exist on these platforms. You cannot be saying, don't use the internet. You'll be violating the child's rights to access to internet, like what Catherine has enlightened us earlier. So
Right.
children have the rights to learn online, but it is our role as adults to ensure that our kids are equipped with enough information in order for them to navigate themselves online safely and
Sassy lah.
healthily.
Like,
Yeah.
I know what's going on. Okay. I actually want to ask Catherine about that. Can we censor our children? Can we censor what they watch? Is that violating their rights? I mean, we are the guardian and the parent. Can we censor and block certain websites and be like, you're not allowed to access Snapchat till you're 12, or you're not allowed to this because it's dangerous?
Can I just share a short story on that?
Yeah.
So there was this one person who's like super aware of what online safety is all about, child rights and everything, right? So this person was watching a movie with her niece, right? And the
Right.
niece is say, I think about 8 or 9 years old. Okay. And so as the movie was being played, what this person did was to just read through the plot of the movie. Okay. And then she found out that there are some disturbing scenes that will come later on the later part of the movie. There's like elements of sexual abuse and incest in the movie. And so what this person did was, this person said, okay, you know what? Let's stop watching this movie. This movie doesn't have nice things towards the end, and I don't want you to watch it. It's not safe.
My parents used to do that. My parents used to do that. You're not allowed to watch. Close your eyes. Go to the other room.
Yeah, no, but the thing is, this person, she explained. She said, that there are elements. This person mentioned sexual abuse to the children. She said, okay, there are parts of the movie that has elements of sexual abuse, and it's not nice. I don't want you to watch it. It's not safe. So let's just turn it off. Okay. A week later, this person gets to know from the mother of the child that this child had tried to access pornography on YouTube. And so now I'd like to pose this question back to you. What this person did, this person said that there's elements of sexual abuse. This person said that it's not safe. And this person said, okay, you know what? Shut it down.
Yeah.
Then why did this still happen?
Well, for me, I would curiosity.
Curiosity, right? Exactly. Exactly. And so that person was me.
Oh.
Right? That person was me. And it really made me take a step back and introspect on what I could have done to handle or tackle that situation better. And then I realized that what I did is I teased that curiosity. I didn't feed it, right? I teased it. And that was wrong. Because not only did I just give that child more information,
you left them hanging.
Yeah, exactly. And so I just allowed the child to explore on her own.
On her own. That's on her own.
Without the tools, without equipping her with those tools. And that is why I feel that you need to have these conversations. Exactly like what Farzana said, there is no escaping. We are in this era now. Everything is digital. If your child wants to attend school, it's online. It's on Zoom. It's on Google Meet. There is no escaping. Everything is online. So you cannot restrict, even in this sense, it's difficult if you just say no means no, because that is something I used to hear. That is something so many of my friends hear. No means no. No, cannot.
Why? No.
That is just how it is. You don't ask questions. Right? So, and things like this. And really, I'd like to say this is not for all parents. I know that so many parents also put in a lot of effort. Yes. But the thing is, sometimes we really need to take that extra mile and have these uncomfortable conversations with our children, as young as they may be. Because at this age, it's wrong to assume that, they would only start exploring when they're 13, 14. No, not true.
No. See, that is where the dilemma is. And again, it relates back to health and mental health and, keeping a child is curious, has a curious mind. And, when we were growing up, and I say we as in my age, we didn't have access to Google the way that children have now. So we did not know where pornography was. We did not know where to look. I mean, we had biology books and that was it, because there was nowhere to see these things. Thank God. I mean, we were in that sense protected and sheltered. So it was harder for us to be exposed to things. But now I think, like you said, and it's definitely essential for parents to have that conversation, such difficult conversations, such uncomfortable conversations that are much needed, because, as the saying goes, something that's difficult today will be easier tomorrow, rather than let it happen tomorrow and then it's worse. Do you know what I mean? Like, we don't want something to happen because we weren't able to sit in a bit of difficulty today, and we're going to be facing our child looking at pornography, or worse still, being a victim of a predator online, because we didn't explain the basics to them.
Exactly. And that is why this process of accompanying to empower, it is a process. It is not just one event of, sitting you down and talking about the birds and the bees and then it's done. No, it is not an event. It is a process, a continuous process of talking to the children about what the dangers of the online world is, and what the opportunities of the online world are, and how you can leverage on that. And so that is why it is important. Restriction is not the answer, that's for sure. But at the same time, you can't just, put your child out there and say, go explore. That's not how it works. But it is to hold the hand and say, explore, but with moral responsibility, and I am here to guide you. That's just what it is.
Explore with that and be informed while you're exploring. So education, again, it comes back to that. So we're going to close and wrap up soon, because we're already moving into 11 o'clock this morning. So some last questions that I've got. Anyone, feel free to answer, Catherine, Elena, or Farzana. The question is, how do we involve men and boys in what we're trying to achieve here with protecting our girls and women online, and obviously having etiquette, because, boys and men have a different set of, I wouldn't call it rules, but expectations. If you look at it from a sociological perspective and gender, they're very much taught, unfortunately, or trained to have less empathy, so to speak. So, how do we encourage our young boys and men in terms of protection? Because that's ultimately their role in society. Anybody want to answer that?
You want to go first, Rosanna? Go ahead.
Sure. So for Monsters Among Us, right, our principles, basically, if you're a child, either you're a boy or a girl, you have the right to be part and to be, to participate in this kind of discussions. But if you want to focus on involving men and also boys, I think the language that we use with them should be different. It should be specific in, teaching them about consent and teaching them about respect, because what we see today in schools, especially, we see a lot of peer-to-peer abuse, peer-to-peer bullies. And if we don't acknowledge that young people or young children themselves can be, the offenders, that's where we close an eye over this few stuff. So that's why when we go to children, we tackle them with the different language on how, girls should be using the internet this way, or boys should be, how do they want to, basically behave online. Like it or not, it does fall back to your gender, the
Yeah.
gender roles that you have in the society.
And your upbringing. I mean, different cultures obviously have different ways and different respect levels or boundaries, I would say. Because one thing I noticed, the big problem that we have, and it relates back to mental health, and I'm always looking at the mental health aspect, is the boundaries. I mean, if you're taught proper boundaries at home, what is right and what is wrong? I mean, I hate to use the word right and wrong because it's so black and white, but what is respectful for yourself you want for others? If you respect yourself and your body, you will respect others and their bodies too, and their feelings. But the problem is, we have to have another session. Basically, this is the problem. We have to have another session, perhaps for parents, because it's about how the home life is before they go online. How, if they have a sense of safety and respect for themselves, when they go online, those ethics will be there. The respect will be there. The empowerment, Catherine, will be there. And same for the boys or any of the predators. And I hate gender defining, like, predators, boys, men. No, not necessarily. I've read so many cases where the predators are also female, equally it is of a concern. So last words, or final words for today, from each of you. Can we start with Elena? Anything that you would like to get in there?
Yeah.
Just before we go?
Picking off where Kat was talking about, how we have to be open about certain taboo topics. We have to educate our young about.
Yes.
Sex education. It's
Okay.
very important. Okay. There's a like when they're a child, we have to be open about sexuality. Talk to them, and guide them with the proper knowledge. I know most parents feel that, malu, they're ashamed to talk about to the child about this aspect, but we have to educate them from the early childhood, and we hope not just men and women, boys and girls, they have to be equipped with that proper knowledge, then understand that value respect for themselves, as you said. That's very important to start at an early age. So we hope that when they become digital citizens of Malaysia, they value and understand wanting to be respectful of yourself and others. And we hope that can just transcend not to all gender ages, parents alike. We have to have that self-monitoring habit. Our digital behavior online must be in check too.
Yeah, thanks for that, Alina. It is such a thing, isn't it? Education is really the key. A digital shield seems to be education here, and having those difficult conversations so that we can ensure the security online. Again, it comes down to culture, and I do hope that the government and takes action and tries to spread more education, increase awareness on respect for yourself, and so therefore respect for others. And sex education, it's 2021, we need to get with the program and just start talking about this. And I'll probably get in trouble for talking about it, but it's true. How do we all get here if it wasn't for sex? And let's keep our children safe online. It's everywhere. I mean, sometimes I buka untuk ceramah, a religious ceramah during Ramadan, and pornography pops up in my face, and I'm like, where did that come from? I mean, if I was a curious teenage girl or a curious teenage boy who didn't have a clue what the heck that was, I would be clicking on it. So, it's so scary. It's scary, but it's something I think, at least chats like this and more to come will help shift that. So, Farzana, anything you'd like to say?
I think my last words would be online sexual abuse is a crime. I think that needs to be established. It's nothing like, it's a joke that people do online, or it's just words by people that you don't even know online. It is a crime. People need to know the distinction between, what's wrong and what is actually a crime, what's morally inappropriate, but what's a crime. So like,
Can I just ask you for an example just before we go? Give me an example, Farzana, to help somebody out there see that. What is a crime sentence? Like, what could I type under somebody's photo or video that could be considered a crime?
If you communicate with a child who is underage sexually, or if you have inappropriate conversations with a child online, even if it's done through DMs and not in public, that is online sexual grooming, and it is criminal in Malaysia. So be careful,
Okay. Thank you. All right, Catherine?
Yeah, the internet has no gender. That's something I just want to put out there. The only thing that establishes your gender or your sex online is when you tick that box which says male, female, other. That's just it, right? So I can be a female and I can just go online being a male. And guess what? Gender roles do not define anything online. So when we're talking about gender roles and culture and everything, I actually did gender studies during my first semester of sociology. And so I get that it is a super complex spider web. Everything is a factor. Everything is involved one way or another, and that's difficult. But we need to make a step. We need to make a change somewhere, somehow. And that is why exactly, Japon, what you mentioned, the core values that a person holds, and that stems from family. The respect, the boundaries, these start at home. These start when you're a child, when you're young. It starts at the age of 2, when you know what you're supposed to do. When you take a toy and for example, you have a sibling, a toddler. Say we're talking about toddlers here. Boundaries starts then. When it comes to when you talk about toys, when you talk about food, that is when boundaries come. That is when respect comes, and that is taught at that young age, regardless of whether it's a baby boy or a baby girl. So honestly, I understand where Farzana is coming from, but these crimes, it encompasses gender, it can encompasses race, culture, everything, right? Every culture has sexual abuse crimes. Every culture, exactly. And show me one place that it doesn't.
Where there are humans, there's always some sort of boundary stepping.
So the most that we can do right now, as all of us here who champion child rights, all of us here who champion online safety, right? It is to start with respect. It is to start with boundaries, and it is to start with accompanying to empower each other to be, digitally resilient and also morally resilient.
Okay, thank you, Catherine. Thank you to everyone. On just a closing note for me, relating back to what Catherine, Farzana, and Alina actually said, and myself with my experience with mental health education. Children are curious, and they are, I would consider, like a blank slate, but not quite a blank slate, because there are studies that show that in utero, the child still learns, and memories are still formed from within when we are in our mothers still. So if the mother has respect for herself and respect for others, I believe it will translate even from before 2 years of age. There are some studies that show a lot of cases, whether it's violence or sexual abuse, that it is related back to the boundaries that are set at home and the respect that is taught at home. What you show your children is okay and allowable is what they grow up to believe is okay and allowable for themselves and for others. So the education and the boundary setting has to be there. But as a culture, I believe we need to tweak a little bit of our ways of being. I'm just going to say this, the next time you want to tickle your child until they, lose control of their bowels sometimes, or they cry, just think about what kind of boundaries you're setting for them. The next time, you let your child run around without a nappy, or, not with their clothes on, and you laugh at their the way they are naked. We've got to think about those kind of things, because this isn't the reason I'm bringing up. It's teaching respect and boundaries, and that's translating online for us as a society, because photos are shared, comments are thrown, because we don't know what our boundaries as a society. So I would like to close today with saying thanks to everyone for this wonderful, very informative, eye-opening session. Thank you, Alina. Thank you, Farzana. Thank you, Catherine. And we hope for a good cyber etiquette, for boundary teaching, cyber parenting, for more education, so that we can all build a stronger digital shield for ourselves. So have a great day, and thanks very much. Take care, everyone. Be safe.
Thank you. Bye.
My name is Shasha and I'm 14 years old. I love Instagram because I get to share about my favorite artists and I like to socialize with my online friends. I like to make friends with people online, but some creepy people can make me feel unsafe in my own space. I once chatted with an online friend on Instagram. He was really friendly and fun to chat with. We continued talking for 1 month and decided to be a couple. I was so happy because I always wanted to have a boyfriend. However, soon after, he started making me feel very uncomfortable. If I ignored him, he would make me feel guilty for not being cool with his comments. Then, he started asking me to give him private pictures of myself. He started with, but down the road, he started asking for more. I was already feeling weird about my relationship with him, but he was my boyfriend, so I had to be okay with it. But recently, he shared a picture of himself, and it was a picture of his private part. I got so scared, but I couldn't tell anyone about it. I didn't know what to do about it, and I felt so trapped. How do I even report this to the police? I'm only 14 years old.
If you are like Shasha or know someone experiencing the same situation, we have the solution for you. Lapu Predator is here for you. This is Malaysia's first automated chatbot as a reporting platform for online child sexual exploitation and abuse. Once you log onto www.lapurpredator.org, there are all these infographics and information regarding child sexual abuse, and at the bottom right there is the chatbot icon. So this is how the reporting process is done. Step 1. You report on the chatbot. This is where you can report on any suspicious activity online. You are allowed to report anonymously, but if you're comfortable, you can report with your identity. The chatbot will also request for you to share screenshots and links as evidence. Step 2 is where our child protection officers will start filtering the reports. Trained child protection officers will retrieve the reports on a weekly basis, assessing its weight, and will offer additional support to reporters if necessary. Lastly, Step 3 is channeling reports to the authorities. Once our team ascertains the weight of the report, our child protection officers will channel it to relevant authorities like MCMC or PDRM for further action. Lapu Predator is a channel for your reports to be heard. It's already 2021, and Malaysia scored 0 out of 100 for internet protection among children. We have to break that 0 and take a stand against online child sexual exploitation and abuse for the safety of our children. Remember, kids, never be bullied into silence, and never allow yourself to become a victim.